What's up, Leafs Nation? Welcome back to the show. Whether you're bleeding blue and white or just here to watch the front office try to figure out the salary cap, we've got a lot to unpack today. We're looking at the good, the bad, and the what the heck are we doing when it comes to Leafs contracts. Specifically, we're looking back at the John Tavares era, the ghost of David Clarkson past, and looking forward to what new GM John Chayka is cooking up this offseason. So sit back, relax, keep your stick on the ice, and let's drop the puck. Let's kick things off with the hometown hero. Well, former captain, John Tavares. Look, I know what some of you are thinking. No Stanley Cup, no deep playoff runs that totally changed the narrative, and he eventually handed the C over to Austin Matthews. It's easy for us fans to look back at that July 1st circus. Remember when we were all obsessively tracking private jets on the internet and wonder if the $77 million 7-year deal was actually worth it? But honestly, I think we're being a bit unfair to JT here. Think about the facts, eh? Toronto signed a legit first-ballot Hall of Famer. Over those first 7 seasons, the guy dropped 493 points in 515 games. That is elite, consistent production, night in and night out. You can't put the weight of the organization's 50-plus year cup drought on one guy. Heck, Mats Sundin never won a cup in Toronto either, and nobody's calling Mats a bad Leaf. You play the game on the ice, and JT brought his lunch pail every shift. But here's the part of the Tavares story that's really gonna age well. When his original mega deal was up, he didn't bolt. He didn't hold out for another massive payday on the open market. He wanted to stay in the six, and he accepted a 4-year extension at just $4.38 million a season. Let that sink in for a second. A guy who still has plenty of value around the league took a massive hometown discount. He gave the Leafs the cap flexibility they desperately need to build around the current core. Tavares gave us 7 killer seasons, and then he gave the front office a lifeline. If you ask me, his legacy in Toronto deserves way more credit than it usually gets. He's the best case scenario for a marquee free agent signing. Now let's pivot to the other end of the spectrum. We can't talk about Leafs contracts without talking about the ultimate cautionary tale, David Clarkson. Oh boy, summer of 2013, the Leafs throw a massive 7-year, $36.75 million contract at this guy. And you gotta remember, $36 million back in 2013 was a ton of money. The salary cap was way lower back then. Why did they do it? Because he just scored 30 goals for the New Jersey Devils. Here's the thing though, that 30-goal season was a total fluke. It was the exception, not the rule. The Leafs paid him like he was a guaranteed 30-goal sniper, but his career track record showed a guy who usually hovered around 15 to 20. And guess what? It never happened in Toronto. Clarkson ended up scoring just 15 total goals during his time in the blue and white. To make matters worse, he developed serious back problems that basically ended his career. Now, you can't really blame the guy for getting hurt, right? Injuries happen. It's a brutal sport. But when you're carrying a 7-year deal on the books, an injury turns a disappointing signing into an absolute salary cap nightmare. That contract became famous around the NHL, and not for the right reasons. It was dead weight. The real lesson here isn't just that the Leafs whiffed on a player, it's that they paid for the ceiling instead of the floor. They got caught paying for what they hoped he would be, rather than what the data actually said he was. Sometimes chasing that one shiny 30-goal season is a trap, especially when you've got cash to burn and a desperate need for offense. Clarkson wasn't a bad hockey player, buddy, but the Leafs paid an awful lot of money for a version of him that only existed about 82 games in Jersey. So, what does all this history mean for today? Well, it brings us right to the doorstep of the new guy in charge of the checkbook, John Chayka. When you look at the Tavares and Clarkson deals together, the real trick with any free agent contract isn't just signing a good player. It's signing the right version of that player at the right time for the right price. Tavares was a massive swing that actually made sense on the ice and brought massive cap flexibility later. Clarkson is the ghost of bad contracts past. So, as we look at the new batch of players John Chayka has signed this offseason, we gotta ask the million-dollar question. How will these be judged in Leafs history? Are we looking at smart gets, or are we looking at signings that fans will be screaming about on sports radio for the next decade? It really boils down to three simple questions. Did Toronto get the right player? Did they pay the right price? And most importantly, is it the right fit for the exact role they're trying to build? If Chayka can nail those three things, we might finally be looking at a sustainable contender. If not, well, let's just hope we don't have to talk about another Clarkson situation in 5 years. Alright, that's the wrap for today's deep dive into Leafs contract history. What do you guys think? Is JT's legacy secure, and are you feeling good about Chayka's new signings? Drop a comment down below, let me know your hot takes, and don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe for more Leafs chatter. Keep your sticks on the ice, grab another coffee, and we'll catch you next time. Go Leafs!